All right, good evening. We have a couple of meetings this evening. We are going to start this meeting off with the notice of public hearing of the Cunningham Township Board for the Urbana, Illinois. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu.
Here.
Trustee Evans.
Here.
Trustee Hersey. Trustee Colasetti. Here. Trustee Bishop. Trustee Wilkin. Here. Trustee Quisenberry.
Here.
Mayor Williams. Supervisor Chenoweth.
Present.
Assessor Owana. Okay.
All right, this notice of a public hearing is the Cunningham Township of Urbana, Illinois. We'll hold a public hearing at 6:30 on Monday, September 29th, 2025, to receive public input on the revised fiscal year 2024-2025 annual budget and the draft fiscal year 2025-2026 annual budget. This meeting will be held at 400 South Vine Street, Urbana, Illinois. Public input can be held. All interested citizens and organizations are encouraged to attend. And at this point, we will take public input. So if you'd wish to speak to the board, please step up and state your name for the record. So there's actually 3 meetings tonight. So this is the public hearing for the budget. Then we'll have Cunningham Township, then we'll have Township, and then we'll have City Council. This is a public hearing right now, so if you'd like to provide input, please step to the microphone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Benita Rollins-Gay. I'm a social worker. I cover all Champaign County, Vermilion counties with Rosecrans. But while I'm here tonight, more than 2 decades after Champaign launched an honorary street name program, I am here to ask Urbana to do the same. I came tonight to ask the City Council to listen to my proposal to adopt an honorary street name program and to name the city's first honorary street after Janice Marie Mitchell. My friend Janice I've served over 2,000 children, Champaign-Urbana. I needed beds, they needed housing. I could get her up in the middle of the night. And I feel that I want these kids to have something to look at, something to look for, and someone to honor of color. And Urbana is so far behind. I thought Urbana and Champaign would be on the same pages as far as honorary, set up a committee. I'm not just saying jump and do it. Have a committee formed, sit down and talk, put down your requirements, none of that. And years ago, there were petitions and there were committees. So I'm presenting this only because Janice was a veteran, a member of 4-H and the United States Army Reserve Unit. She was also Champaign County Housing Authority board member and helped pregnant teens attain their diplomas. In the schools, Janice started the Equity and Social Justice Club that's still going on, but they know nothing about Janice's decease. I don't know if any of you know Janice. She also did the Career and Readiness Program. She was known for her love of nature and unwavering service in the community of Urbana. Janice has worked for various youth-serving organizations, including Cunningham's Children's Home, Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, Regional Office of Education, and Urbana School District 116. Additionally, she has served as a parent volunteer in the local Urbana schools, creating programs to teach underdeserved youth, which we are working with now. I deal with them every day, about their rich heritage. As well, she's provide economic and social emotional enrichment. She founded Prairie Tracks, Brothers and Sisters, Sankofa summer exposure programs for students now. It was Prairie School. It is now Dr. Williams Elementary and Urbana Middle School in 2010. Her dream of opening a youth development facility in East Urbana came a reality. It has remained open. Having a street sign by her center would help the community to remember her better, kids to understand, and historical, because they're doing a lot in Champaign on Heritage Trail. I met all of them. And Urbana is kind of behind on that. And as a social worker, it means a lot to me because I talk to all ages of children and adults coming in the community, and we do not have enough. I was on the school board for 14 years, and believe me, at Urbana, there were changes made. So I'm asking you just tonight to think about it. If so, my name is Benita Rollins Gay. You can reach me at benita.gay70@yahoo.com. That's it.
Thank you for your comment. Clerk, we don't have any, okay. All right, with no further input this evening, this public hearing is closed. We'll move on in just a moment to the Cunningham Township Board. All right, on to the next meeting, the Cunningham Township Board. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Here.
Trustee Evans,
Here.
Trustee Hersey, Trustee Colasetti. Here. Trustee Bishop, Trustee Wilkin. Here. Trustee Quisenberry,
Here.
Mayor Williams, Supervisor Chenoweth,
Present.
Assessor Owana. Thank you.
All right, first item of business is approval of minutes from June 16th, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved to approve. Second.
Moved by Gray, seconded by Jaya. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, that motion carries. The next item is additions to the agenda. I would like to request moving of the order of C, which is the closed session for property pursuant to, to the first item of new business. If there's no objection to that, can I have a motion for that change?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the proposed change?
Yes, I'd like to propose that we move item number C under new business to A and then shift everything down.
Excellent.
Can I have a motion?
Yes, I would move to switch C closed session to the first item of new business.
Second.
All right, moved by Grace, seconded by Chris. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? All right, is there any public that wishes to provide input this evening for the Cunningham Township Board? If so, please come up to the microphone and state your name for the record. No email? All right, moving on, committee to verify bills.
Good evening. You'll see, as we discussed last month, that we were bringing July and August forward to the town board this evening, for both for the town fund and general assistance funds. Let's see, for July, our final count, I gave you a provisional count last month, but our final count for town board was $53,663.90. And expenditures, general assistance fund, again for July, $228,917.99. That brought our total for July to $282,581.89. We also had the town bills report for August. It's $52,904.46. General Assistance Fund, $244,321. And our total expenditures, again, for August only is $292,900. and $97,925.46. Nicole Filia is our finance director. She is here this evening. Either of us can answer questions about those bills. She's also here to answer questions about the budget when we get to that time. And thank you, Nicole, for joining us this evening. I'm happy to take any questions about the bills.
Questions about the bills? We need a motion to put them on file?
You'll need a motion to approve the bills.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, and this is for 2 months. Do we need to have a separate one for each month, or can they be together?
I guess the motioner should clarify, like, did you intend to lump the approval for both July and August?
Yes.
Okay.
And second. Yep.
All right, discussion. For the clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. The reports of officers.
Okay, I will be brief, as it sounds like you have 3 different meetings this evening. I just want to point out some big picture items. Essentially, there was a series of displacements throughout the 6 months. We've essentially moved everyone who had a housing option into housing at this point. We had our final move out this last month, so that is very exciting. We did see a dip finally in rental assistance, so that was helpful. We've seen a really big increase in utility assistance, and we are discussing how to handle that. LIHEAP will open for limited use in October. Also, just for folks who are listening, even if LIHEAP is not open, you can still, if you're LIHEAP eligible, get a discount on your utility bill. So we have been directing people to do that. And mostly we're doing, we help people get on a payment plan and then direct them to LIHEAP to sign up for that. Anyway, we've been kind of strategizing what to do about that piece. Right now, LIHEAP appears that this next year we'll continue to have funds, but there is some uncertainty for the year after. We've been really focused in street outreach, given that the shelter is full with a very large wait list, and helping people reunify in other locations if possible, and doing a lot of work internally to get ready for expansion. The information that's not on the because not on this supervisor's memo, but just came in on Thursday, is that there's 4 organizations in town who receive emergency and transitional housing from IDHS. The state is releasing $7 million to the state as a whole to increase housing and shelter for the winter months. And so we will be going after that, those funds. We did receive from the Housing Authority close to $400,000. That MOU is approved by the Housing Authority. That has to be spent by the end of the year. That will allow us to expand family shelter by 8 units, additional units, so we'll have 16. It will allow us to take 10 of our workforce development participants and provide housing for them for 10 months while they're also doing workforce development activities. And it will allow us to increase rental assistance for 40 households. I think that's it. I think that's what we got. Those are, I do believe that, we're very frightened about what's going to happen with SNAP. We are increasing our help desk hours so that we can help people at their Bannock Free Library get ready for kind of support in work verification or disability verification for SNAP. We're doing a training of our whole staff on it. We are getting Medicaid cuts don't come till 2027. So it's really the SNAP cuts that we're most concerned about right now. And I sent you a slide deck about changes in HUD and kind of homeless services. I think the most unfortunate part that we're seeing is tying some requirements to the money to make it toxic, basically, make it something that I think doesn't really comply with our community's values. And so just kind of trying to figure out what's going to shake out of that. So I'll be watching it closely and giving you all updates right now. There's nothing set in stone. We just see threats on the horizon with that. We do have the highest number of families on our wait list with 20, it's actually 22 now, since there was some delays in us meeting. So there's 22 families on our wait list. So we're really, our goal is to get to 0 by winter, and we're gonna work in earnest towards that. We had a really good, productive conversation with the interim executive director of Courage Connection, trying to tighten up our collaboration. So I was very excited to see that. And I think those are most of the high-level issues on deck. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Chris?
Thanks, Danielle. Will the food pantries be able to pick up the slack when SNAP benefits begin to get cut?
Well, the bad news is that SNAP benefits have not been cut yet, and Daily Bread Soup Kitchen is running out of food for the first time. They've gone from serving 150 to over 500 people per day. All of the food pantries we work with are seeing an increase in volume. A lot of that has to do with the cost of food and the cost of housing and bills, and food pantries are kind of like the first thing, because there's not as much, there's no food pantry for electricity, so people go to food pantries to supplement. So yeah, I think we should be prepared. In particular, I would say really looking at food security as an important issue, and then looking at the winter months and the large number of homeless residents who are outside. Those are the two things we worry about most.
Other questions? All right, thank you for the report this evening.
Thank you.
There is no unfinished business. The next item is C on the listed agenda, which we've moved up to A. So I'd ask for a motion for a closed session pursuant to property purchase, which is 5 ILCS 120/2C5.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Grace and seconded by James. Discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti?
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin?
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will convene after unknown time. All right, welcome back. I would like to have a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Grace, seconded by Jaya. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I need a voice vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans.
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin.
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is ordinance number T 2025-08001, an ordinance approving the annual budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2024-2025 amended. Danielle?
Thank you. I just want to point out the version that we're asking you to move is in front of you in printed format with some adjustments made by our accountant. That was the reason that we're bringing it to you at this point. So I just want to make sure that you have that. That is our actuals for this last fiscal year. And again, Nicole Filia, our finance director, is here, and either of us can ask questions about it.
Would you be able to give a quick summary in terms of the differences?
Do you mean differences between the one that you had approved last year?
Yes.
Yes. So essentially what happened, and may happen again in the year that we're in, is that we pass a budget and then the need is so great that we go out and find additional revenue, and then we spend additional revenue. So there were significant dollar increases. We had a ETH tax write-off from IDHS. We had additional SMAS monies. We had the City of Champaign Township funds reallocated for displaced residents for Champaign Park Apartments. So it is almost entirely within the grants arena. We did program expansion and we brought in additional dollars for those. So those are kind of the high level pictures. It was such a big change in the budget that instead of doing line item transfers, we really needed to do a revised budget for last year. And Nicole, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
If you
Pretty
move it
much
to
sums
yourself.
it up. Except the difference between the first amended budget and this one is just that some of the items were classed incorrectly. So there was about $5,000 moved from the town fund over to the GA fund.
Is there a summary of how much additional money you got in grants this year that was unanticipated?
Yes, hold on. Let's look at. Hold on just one second. So basically, we originally estimated is this correct, cash? Yep. Yeah. Hold on. I'm just pulling up our budget from fiscal year '25. Okay, so, for example, estimated cash for general assistance fund. Let's see. Total town fund. So. Estimated. Okay. Yeah, I think what I could do is actually pull it up from the grants, from our grants piece. Hold on a second. So essentially, we received, we spent more money in ARPA. You know, ARPA is a long frame, so we estimated a certain amount. We spent more primarily on rental assistance in that location. We spent county ARPA dollars primarily for street outreach, and we escalated that expenditures over the winter. We received a new grant from IDHS at $25,000. We were allocated additional home RH monies that were unallocated. They were allocated to us about $38,000. We had additional SMAS money allocated to us. That was primarily for homeless services. We used it for winter shelter. So we ended up using probably about $150,000 for winter shelter. We got the Urbana Sun Grant, which we didn't anticipate, which was $18,700. We spent a portion of that. Yeah, so those are some of the grants where we either spent more than we anticipated spending, or we brought in new dollars to fill holes.
So approximately 225,000 in grants.
That sounds right.
Okay. Questions? I'd entertain a motion. Yes, Grace?
I guess, sorry, I do have a question. Are we okay votes-wise? We have 4 votes. Could we have a little background, or 5, I mean?
Sure. So we conferred with the township attorney ahead of time, which is also part of why these meetings had to be rescheduled in addition to having concerns about quorum at last week. 5 votes of trustees are required for passage of the amended budget and also a regular budget, because this is basically a new budget that is coming before you, unlike a budget amendment, because it exceeded the allowable threshold for an amendment.
Thank you. And I would move approval of ordinance number T 2025-08-001, ordinance approving the annual budget and appropriations ordinance fiscal year 2024 to 2025 as amended.
Second.
Moved by Grace, seconded by Jaya. Discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance number T 2025-08002, an ordinance approving the annual budget and appropriations ordinance for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Yeah, so you'll see essentially the process is we give you a draft budget. It's noticed. Folks have access to it through the clerk and through our office and on the website. We have a public meeting, which we just had before this meeting, and then we vote. The vote has to be done by the first quarter of the year. In this case, we're pushing it close, partly because we get most of our grants notifications in July and August, and then, of course, we had a delay in this case. I will say, if we bring in additional ETH dollars, we may need to do some line item budget transfers because of that, since we learned about that opportunity last Thursday. I just want to lay out some of the highlights. We are looking at office relocation and consolidation this fiscal year. That is the largest item in here. We do have $500,000 in Illinois DCEO funds. We also have another $200,000 pledged in DCEO funds. We've been fundraising for this opportunity so that we can expand services. We can maintain the expansion of services that we have and have adequate space to all be together. We are now in multiple spaces. I did estimate that at $2.4 million in acquisition, renovated, and moving costs. I consider that to be the high end. If that is spent, we will still have a nest egg in our savings account that would allow for us to cover expenditures for our kind of bare essential, our operating expenses for 6 months. It also includes roof and foundation updates for 205 West Green Street. We have leaks in both places. We have investment in technology upgrades so that we can have a single case management system that will greatly, basically we're doing double entry right now. It's very costly from a staff perspective. We will save money in the long run on this investment. We are looking at improving our accounting workflow design and to handle the high volume of receipt across multiple grants and programs. We used to have 0 grants, now we have 15. And then our Prius is on its last legs, so we're looking at a used replacement for that will most likely be a hybrid truck. And then we did create a facilities coordinator position by taking many of the different vendors and contractor line items. So those are kind of the administrative side. And then on the program side, we have a near doubling of grant income. We are going to do a citywide mailing about services, which was in last year's budget, but we were not able to do the mailing. Kind of wanted to make sure we had a stable address with that. We are looking at improving the emerging needs in our continuum, especially for families, women, and LGBTQ+ residents experiencing homelessness, while we also provide support for strides, supporting men. We are doing a overhaul of our workforce development program, budgeting for 20 participants for a year-long intensive program that will look a lot like an internship, 20 hours a week, which is also the amount needed to maintain SNAP. So it dovetails well with that, making sure that those workforce development participants also can access food support. We have a grants program to support severe weather sheltering, which we may not need with the ETH funds, just for the record, that was without those dollars. We have a modest increase in utility assistance, growing our hours at our help desk at the Urbana Free Library to 4 days a week, from 2 days a week. And then we continue to invest in professional development to support licensure and certification across our staff. And so I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm very proud of this budget and our team with full-time and part-time individuals, including our digital navigators, not including the assessor. We're 25 humans in our office, which is why we need to move into new space. And you'll see a list of our grants here. So we've actually outlined every grant and the fiscal year 26 expenditures that we're anticipating. We also just end with a thank you to our private donors. We received $86,600 in angel donor funds last year with very little fundraising. I think people have a lot of confidence in us, and 100% of those donated funds support Urbana residents in food, clothing, housing, power, transportation, and other material needs. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Chris?
Could you remind us how many calls for service per month the township is taking in?
Last we checked, we were about 2,000 incoming calls for service. I didn't pull the numbers this last month, but I can do that for a 3-month time frame for our next town board meeting in October.
Other questions? Entertain a motion? Grace?
I move approval of ordinance number T dash 2025-08-002, an ordinance approving the annual budget and appropriations ordinance fiscal year 2025 to 2026.
Second. All right, moved by Grace and seconded by Jaya. I actually had a question, I forgot about it. Danielle, I was at another board meeting, and they were talking about the increasing cost of health insurance greatly impacting their budget, and I noticed that the health insurance was pretty high here. Is there a estimate in what has been increased this year?
I think we did 10%, which is that what we ended up with, Nicole? Yeah, it's pretty much on par with our peers and with what we've seen annually is a 10% increase. Actually, last year we budgeted for 10%. I think it was closer to 10 to 15.
Yeah, the other place I'm thinking about budgeted 30% increase in their healthcare, which was really
this
quite
next year.
shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, partly it's we can't keep on the track that we're on because we've seen such escalating healthcare. So we've introduced some incentives where if folks use a different health care provider, even though they're entitled to health care through us, we do 60% of their premium to them. So we've been able to reduce some costs that way. We also have more part-timers through our help desk program, and we're bringing on additional interns who don't receive health insurance and get PLAWA. So we've been trying to manage those health care costs, and instead of anticipating another large leap, we are looking at whether or not we can, since we're such a large body, whether or not we can basically look at other group health insurance or partner with the agencies. So I know that some groups have been doing that. I don't feel very comfortable with doing a 30% increase at this time. Obviously, if something changes, we'll be coming back to you, but we kept it at 10%.
Okay, thank you. there's no further discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is Resolution Number T 2025-09016R, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with the new Lincoln Square LLC at 110 SF month to month. What is S? Oh, square foot. It's like, what is SF? 110 square feet.
This just very briefly is a 10 by 11 office that allows us to have interns, our social work interns this fall, overseen by our Bridge to Home manager. It is located in Lincoln Square, conveniently between our two office buildings.
Questions? Grace? No? Can I have a motion? Jaya?
I'll move approval of resolution number T 2025-09-016R, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a lease agreement with the new Lincoln Square LLC, 110 square foot per month to month.
Second.
Moved by Jaya, seconded by James. Any discussion? Does this need a roll call? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Last item on the agenda is Resolution Number T 2025-09017R, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOU with St. Mary's University of Minnesota for Master of Social Work Program.
St. Mary's is a online social work program through the University of Minnesota. It is accredited. We have a intern who is with their partner who's at the U of I doing that online program here in town. And so they are looking at an in-person, which is all we do, an in-person internship through St. Mary's. They require this MOU. And we've looked it over and have no issues with the request.
Questions? Grace?
Had a technical one and then I guess more general, and I'm sorry if I was reading while you just said it, but what kind of things they would be working on, and this would be all remote collaboration?
No, so none of our internships are remote. They're all in person, which I think is an important part of the township experience. This is a person who lives in town but is doing a online program with St. Mary's. And what was your other question? Remote and? I forgot.
No, that was fine. Kind of, what they would be doing, working on.
This, we have interviewed the intern for this position, and they'll be assigned to the Bridge to Home Homeless Services team.
Thank you. And then, we're kind of wording question on the resolution that was emailed out this afternoon for this. One of the whereas clauses does say St. Mary's University of Illinois.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I don't know if that's just a habit
got-
of typing
No,
University
I've
of
got
Illinois.
University of Illinois on the brain. It should, when you make a motion, if you could correct that to University of Minnesota, I'll get corrected.
Thank you.
Jaya?
I think that there's also another place where it says University of Illinois, and then now we're, therefore it be resolved, agreement with University of Illinois. So I think just replacing any and U of I representatives, just that one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Got it.
replacing any reference to University of Illinois with the proper university in this.
Thank you.
Any other questions? May I have a motion? Grace?
I would move resolution number T 2025-09-017R, resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an MOU with St. Mary's University of Minnesota for Master of Social Work program, amended with any reference to University of Illinois or UI with University of Minnesota.
Second.
Moved by Grace and seconded by Jaya. Discussion? Nope. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Wu,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin,
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes. With no further business before this board, this meeting is adjourned. Give us a few minutes and we will start the next meeting. Thank you very much. Hello, good evening. We are here tonight for the City of Urbana rescheduled city council meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu,
Here?
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Hersey, Councilmember Colasetti. Here. Councilmember Bishop, Councilmember Wilkin,
Here.
Councilmember Quisenberry,
Here.
Mayor Williams. Thank you.
First item of business is approval of minutes of previous meetings for August 25th, 2025, which are the city council meeting minutes, and September 2nd, 2025, the committee of the whole meeting minutes. Are there any technical questions or corrections? May I have a motion?
I
Yes.
move approval of those minutes.
Second.
Moved by James and seconded by Jay. A discussion. This is final action. Do I still need a roll call for this one? Okay. Roll call?
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin,
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
Next item is addition to the agenda. Are there any additions this evening? Okay. Presentation and public input is next. For members of the public who would like to address the city council this evening, please step up to the microphone and state your name for the record.
I'll come again.
All right.
So I'm Benita Rollins-Gay, and you've got two families now, besides Mitchell. Now the Owens family is here too, because we are fighting for you to get on board with Champaign to do. It's been 2 decades, and everybody knows what 2 decades. After Champaign launched their honorary street name program, I am here to ask Urbana to do the same thing. I came tonight to ask the city council to listen to my proposal, then sit down and talk about it and organize, have a committee that we start looking at this, because you're not going to hear the last of it until it's done or some kind of move is taking place. First of all, I'm saying the first name, the honorary, and you'll be hearing about the second honorary street, L.C. Owens, is to name a street after Janice Marie Mitchell, who died On November 15, 2021, Janice was a member of 4-H Club, a veteran in the United States Army Reserve Unit, and she was a board member for the Champaign County Housing Authority Board, which she was representing Urbana. And working with pregnant teens, she helped them attain their diploma. Janice started in Urbana schools, the Equity and Social Justice Club, and believe it or not, it's still there because we're working with a lot of underprivileged children of all cultures. She has a college and career readiness program she started that they're still using. Janice Mitchell was known for her loving nature, an unwavering service to the community. As I said before, in the middle of the night, there's a fire. One of my clients, something has happened. They contact me. Who do I contact? Janice gets up in the middle of the night. And you know what? In these years, she's served over 2,000 to 3,000 different families in all ways. Those are 3 generations now that are still present. So you just see a small amount of the group, but you keep on, you'll see an abundance of us coming out. Because it's time that you all, as I stated earlier, look at it. Because I think you're twin cities. So I believe that this is needed. Also, I told you, including her serving in organizations, she worked at Cunningham's Children's Home, Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, the Regional Office of Education, and Urbana School District. Additionally, she has served as a parent volunteer in the local Urbana schools, creating programs to teach the underdeserved youth about their rich heritage, as well as providing academic and social emotional enrichment. And some of these kids now, if you read the news, are our leaders. And Janice, they started there at the neighborhood center. Janice founded Prairie Tracks, Brothers and Sisters, and Sankofa summer exposure programs for students at Prairie School, which is now Dr. Williams Elementary School and Urbana Middle School, in 2010. Her dream of opening a youth development facility in East Urbana became a reality, and she became founder and CEO, which now her daughter is still running and helping all these children. It's remained open even during the COVID because the kids had to have internet, needed places to go, help with their work, and so that was available. Having a street sign by her center will help the community remember her contributions. It is time for a change, and I come to you to get your guidance on where and how we move forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon. If I can do it, maybe I'll just hold it. A request in the honor of Lawrence L.C. Owens through a street naming in Urbana. Honorable Mayor Williams and his absent and the City Council. I hope this letter finds you all well. My name is Dale Elaine Owens, and I'm writing with a heartfelt request on behalf of my late husband, Lawrence L.C. Owens, 1947 to 2023, whose life and legacy left a lasting and visible mark on the city of Urbana. Lawrence, affectionately known as LC and Big Daddy, was born in Mississippi, but moved with his family to Urbana at the age of 3. He attended Urbana schools, graduating with the class of 1965. a proud Tiger. He played football and was a member of the 1964 team that won the Big 12 championship. His love for Urbana athletes never faded. He remained a loyal fan up until his passing, often cheering from the end zone. After high school, Lawrence built a career at the University of Illinois, where he worked faithfully for 32 and a half years, retiring in 2002. After receiving the Chancellor's Distinguished Staff Award in 1999, his greatest was his service to children, families, and the Urbana community. Coached Pee Wee football, the Golden Bears, for 22 years, mentoring countless young athletes, including some who became leaders, such as the current athletic director and assistant principal at Urbana High School. Served as a cook for Community Elements Teen Mom program, offering meals and encouragements to young mothers. Was honored with his wife by the King School PTA as honorary chefs. We started our own daycare business in 1993. With me, we fostered over 250 foster kids, earning recognition as Foster Parents of the Year in 2000 for the state of Illinois. Faithfully served at Salem Church for decades, helping with the soup kitchen for 18 years, leading multiple ministries, joyfully cooking for the community and programs. Earned the nickname Bread Man for his commitment delivering food and supplies to families in need. His love for people, especially children, goes unmatched. He never meets a stranger, and he encourages young men to always strive for more knowledge, because the knowledge you obtain can never be taken away. His impact was so profound that over 700 people attended his homegoing service, a true reflection of the lives he touched in Urbana. Given this extraordinary legacy of service to Urbana schools, the athletics, fostering youth, church, and the wider community, I respectfully ask that the city of Urbana consider naming a street or a community facility in his honor. Such recognition would not only pay tribute in his ministry, but in his memory, but also inspire future generations to live lives of service, mentorship, and community care. I would be grateful for the opportunity to provide any additional information or meet with you in your office to discuss this further. Thank you kindly for the consideration, this tribute to my husband's legacy of faith, service, and the love for Urbana.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the City Council this evening?
Good evening. I would not miss an opportunity to come tonight, but first of all, I want to turn my attention to Ms. Benita and just say openly thank you for your vision. Thank you for your friendship over the years to my mom, and thank you for bringing this to the city of Urbana. There isn't much more that I can say that hasn't already been expressed about my mom. But what I will say is that just like my brother, my father, many of the UNCC family members sitting behind me and beside me, that we watched my mom for years fight hard. She fought hard against people that didn't see the vision that was given to her to serve underserved and underprivileged youth. She was fought at every angle, from community members who did not want the center to be where it was, to people who tried to back her down into a corner and told her that there was no use for a neighborhood center. And here we are 15 years later. And so I'm grateful to my mom for her vision and her work. I'm grateful to my father for the example that both of them set, and for him pouring into the center and her vision the way that he did all those years as the CFO. I thank him for his direction openly as I do privately. So I just want to say that I'm here in support of anything that the city would consider doing in honor of my mother, specifically hoping to see Hartle Street renamed as Janice Mitchell Way. It was a vision that I actually saw some years ago randomly outside with the kids, and I was thinking, I said, man, it'd be dope if this street was named after my mom. Like, she poured hours, countless hours, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. You drive by that center, those lights were still on. She was still in there when she got sick with cancer, and she would sit up in her bed after she had chemo, and it drains you. If you know anything about cancer, it drains you. The chemo drains you. She'd sit up in the bed with her laptop on her lap, and she'd say, niece, I got to get this done. I'm asleep for a couple hours, but I got this City of Urbana grant application is due. I got this IDHS grant application due. I got to get this done. That was the fight. That was the determination that I saw my mom carry for many, many years. And even in her passing, she left so much for us in spirit, and she left so much for us actually intangibles that we've been able to thrive as an organization, and we've been able to continue to make it even still in the face of opposition from those who don't see the value in the work that we do and the effort and the output. And so I'm just grateful for, like I said, all that she instilled in me, all that my father instilled in me. I'm grateful for these family members, because they're not friends and they're not colleagues. This is my UNCC family, and I'm so grateful for everything that they continue to do to fight with me every day in honor of Janice Mitchell. And so, again, I thank you all for your time and even your consideration, and we will be extremely grateful for anything that you would do to honor the legacy of a woman that kept fighting and fought on so hard that fight is now instilled in us. So thank you guys so much for the time this evening, and I pray that your hearts will be moved to support a naming program, and it would be awesome to see my mother be one of the first in that class of renaming of streets in honor. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lucinda Smith. I just kind of wanted to piggyback off what Missy Lane said, which is my mother. I did come here in 2022 in the summer to talk with someone about trying to get a street named after my father. Unfortunately, I was told no, and I needed that you guys didn't do that in Urbana, and that I needed to go maybe talk to the park district because they did like benches or trees. I was looking for emails 2 days ago to see if I can find the email, but since I came here, I don't have an email from you guys, but I do have an email from the park district where I emailed them and said, hey, you know, trying to get some type of, you know, something for my father before he even passed, because I wanted to celebrate him before he left. He left us because we didn't know he was gone in 23, but we had celebrated him in October of 22, and I had brought it up at his party to please submit letters. So I still have some of those letters from October of 22 that people said that if we needed to do a petition to get this started. So just to say, you know, hopefully we can get this started because I think it would be a great service to the Urbana community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the body this evening?
Hi there, City of Urbana. My name is Ben Jocelyn. I'm a resident here. I just want to quickly say that I think that the renaming of streets as a policy is a really important thing that neighborhoods can do to shape their own histories, and in doing so remember their heroes and sort of then reshape their futures and turn them into what they want to be. Every city in this country has the name of old politicians and people of power who are currently remembered but have legacies of politics and ideas that are long since fallen out of favor and really don't need remembering. And at a time when our histories are threatened of being taken from us in so many different ways, with pages being taken down, with histories being taken away, I think it's really important that neighborhoods have the ability to say, hey, this is where we live, these are the people we want to remember, These are the folks who've contributed, who've given their lives to service, who've fostered children, who've taught people, who've recreated and shown folks the way. And I think it's really important that folks get to say, this is our place, and these are the people we want to remember. And so I'm very much in favor of a street renaming program in the city of Urbana. I think that's super important in letting us, as a city, choose the direction that we want to go with our future. And I'm specifically here and would like to just say that I'm totally in favor of both a street in the name of Janice Mitchell and Lawrence Owens. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address the body? All right, I'm going to close this public. There.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beth Hand. I had the privilege of working with Janice Mitchell at the Urbana School District and then helping her out at the Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center, and just witnessed an incredible human being that helped so many families and so many children. I helped provide the bridge between when Janice passed away and Miss Janice took over, and just am so proud of the legacy that she left, and I hope that you will honor her in that way. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other movement. I'm going to call this public input session closed. Thank you very much this evening. Appreciate it. Now they're just talking back there. All right, next item is council input and communications. Chris.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I want to talk about this, so you might want to stick around. So we brought this up 4 years ago. A lady by the name of Amy Rickman came in, and she wanted a street named after Angie Heaton. And we have the paperwork, and we gave her a 10-minute presentation, and the same thing happened back then. We were told no, park benches and trees only. In Urbana. So I'm so glad that you brought this back up. Of course, Janice Mitchell is more than worthy, and certainly I don't know Mr. Owens, and I'd like to learn more. And there's many people in Urbana that need to be celebrated. Imagine Dr. Willie Somerville, I would think, would need celebration. Roger Ebert. And the list will go on. Paul Worth. I mean, there's a number of people that we could celebrate. There was resistance not only to a naming program, but the reason given at the time, and I don't agree with this argument then, and I don't agree with it now, is that in Urbana, we don't want to elevate one person over other people. That's not what this is about. This is about remembering our history and the contributions, and where they always say, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going, right? So, and Ms. Mitchell, Danny's beloved wife, is more than worthy. And the reason we celebrate somebody like that is because you want to keep the work going forward. And thank you to her daughter, it is going forward, right? So I completely support a naming program. May I suggest that we go to the Historical Commission and take it there, and double the number of people and really press the case there. Since I'm going to work with you, Benita, in that you gave your email address. So I'm going to contact, if you don't mind being the point person on this, I'm going to contact you, organize, tell you when the next historical, give you the paperwork that Amy Rickman gave me at the time. She drafted an ordinance to do this. So it's been underway. Let's finish the job. Yeah. I mean, and also I will tell you this, that we'll talk about the details later, but let's get this organized and let's get her done, So.
That's good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
JF?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like too much of a broken record. I think Chris provided a good summary of where things stalled the last time we tried to do something like this. And, you know, Chris knows this, that I'm a big believer in having a process, so I'm going to try not to have any kind of bias in terms of who I think should be first on that list, but I certainly had the pleasure of getting to work with Ms. Mitchell in the community too. So would love to see both names that were mentioned tonight come forward once we get, I'm going to say when we get this process figured out. I know the mayor's not able to be here tonight, but I think, you know, city administrators hearing this loud and clear that this is a priority for some of us, and that we have been asking about this. Community members have been asking about this for years. And I will say too, the other pushback I heard the last time this came up was the logistics of creating street signs. And then I saw former staff members being given honorary fake Urbana street signs as parting gifts. There are no excuses, right? Like, we can do this. We just need to set up a process. It may take time. One thing I've learned in my now over 4 years on council is everything takes longer than we want it to. But I do feel confident with this administration we have a chance, and I hope that we take it, because I think this is something that's needed. And just while I'm on a soapbox of let's look at things that have been brought up by our community in the past. I know Chris has been working hard on this, but I want to put my 2 cents in again for what are we doing with the skate park? We have so many parking lots that are just sitting around empty. Let's keep that moving too, so our kids have more to do. And all of our skaters of all ages. So thank you all for coming tonight.
James?
Yeah, I will sound like a broken record here tonight. I do appreciate everybody coming out to talk about this. In July of 2022, when Chris brought a petition with over 100 signatures to us for this program, I didn't see anybody on council who was resistant to this idea. And in fact, after the meeting was over, I volunteered to work with administration or whoever wanted to look at Champagne's and see what we could utilize from that. Not saying we want to do it exactly the way Champagne does it, because they do it for 4 years and then they take it down. I'm not sure that's necessarily the path we want to go down. But it was an administration choice to not pursue this. It wasn't a priority. And that's how it was said to me, that, you know, you can do that, but we're not going to make it a priority. And, you know, staff will go along with something like this if they're asked to do it, but it takes the leadership in administration for it to go forward. And I'm going to add another thing here. I recently accepted an invitation to serve on a committee for the school district with regard to the naming of Flossie Wiley School, a building that has a name after a woman who was important in Urbana school history. And one of the things that I will take to that committee is people suggested, you know, other names that could be used for that. We don't need naming by subtraction. We need naming by addition. We need more buildings in our community named after women who made a difference, because there's a gap in that. And so I will go to that committee, and one of the things I will have on my mind is Dr. Janice Mitchell and what the school district can do from a perspective of recognizing her contribution to the children in the city of Urbana, how she fought for them in that process of how the school district looks at how they're going to name a building. I would love for the middle school in Urbana, both buildings to be named after a woman. I think that would be great. So that's the message I'm going to take to that.
Grace?
Thank you. I'll repeat appreciation for the input here tonight and support for street naming process, and hopefully we can get some updates from executive and work to figure out how that process would look. Want to touch on some other topics too, in addition to our many pressing local issues. Like to touch on some other things as well. Personally, just want to acknowledge some of our council members who are missing and wish them the best, and encourage others to do so in whatever form that looks like for you. And on kind of larger outside issues, would also like to address some global and interconnected local issues. There's a lot going on this weekend. Yesterday, there was an event hosted by CU MAC Muslim Action Committee to bring attention and support to a flotilla with a local heroine on the boat, Jessica Coltfelter, who are working to bring desperately needed food and supplies to people being intentionally starved in Gaza and putting their lives at risk in the process. So just wanted to take this little platform to acknowledge that. Also had the horrific opportunity to visit the ICE detention center, makeshift center outside of Chicago. And I can't describe to you the pain and suffering feelings coming out of that building. People are being abducted off the streets throughout the country, throughout the state, including in Urbana. And just want to acknowledge this as well and remind us of our local sanctuary protections and thinking about what actions we can take here. There's been some updates with even the Champaign County Jail and how that all falls into this big horrific picture. So I think we really need to think about some of those actions that we can take even preemptively in Urbana and how we're going to handle some of the horrific situations we might face. And also remembering the budget and getting out some of the money that we put aside in the budget for immigrant services and people impacted by things like this, and how we're going to get that money out as well as for victims of violence. So just wanted to acknowledge some of those broader, really important global things and what we can do locally to support the people who are involved, because these global issues also have a very real local impact. Thank you.
All right, well, given that everybody else has had a chance, I think I'll chime in here a couple of things. For those of you who are left, the next Historic Preservation Commission meeting is on November 5th at 7 p.m. I do think, I wrote it down before Chris mentioned it, but I think taking a look at that historic commission and maybe retooling it and adding a little bit to that to incorporate something like a street naming. It really resonated to me when Ben Jocelyn said tonight, this is our place, and these are the people that we want to remember. And I think with that lens, thinking through a process, I do know that when this was brought up before, one of the concerns at the time was the number of commissions that we have in place and finding enough people to serve on those commissions. So that's why I think using a commission that we already have and being able to kind of hopefully add on to what their duties are might be able to alleviate some of that concern. If, we can get into the details, and I won't get into the details yet, but I think that there are a lot of different communities who have very similar programs, so we wouldn't be starting from scratch. We would be able to look and see what's worked in some communities, and then be able to retool it for the Urbana flavor. So I think with that, I'm going to close out the City Council communication this evening, and we will go on to reports of standing committees. There is none. We'll go to the report of the Committee of the Whole, what happens to also be me. So I will report out as the committee chair last week. We have on the consent agenda ordinance number 2025-09027, an ordinance amending the Urbana City Code, Chapter 5, Article 8, Fire Prevention Code, and resolution number 2025-09075R, a resolution approving a grant agreement between the State of Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board and the City of Urbana. Will the clerk please call the roll? Oops. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, it's moved by me, Mary Alice, second by Chris.
Councilmember Wu?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin?
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes. On the regular agenda, before I state this, I would like to say that I would like to ask for a motion to move this on to the next City Council meeting, given the number of people we have here today. James?
Yeah, I'd like to move ordinance number 2025-09-025, an ordinance revising the annual budget ordinance, budget amendment number 2, omnibus, to the City Council meeting on October 13th.
Second.
All right, moved by James and seconded by Chris. Any discussion? James?
I would just like to add that this kind of motion requires 6 votes to pass, and so City Council does not have 6 votes to cast tonight, so that's why we're moving it to a future meeting when the mayor is here and can vote on it. Maybe some of our other members could join.
All right. Do we need a roll call?
We should.
All right, let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin.
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Next, on behalf of the Committee of the Whole, I'd like to move approval of ordinance number 2025-09026, an ordinance providing the issuance of not to exceed $5.2 million in general obligation bonds, Series 2025. I would need a second.
Gosh, second.
All right, moved by Mary Alice and seconded by Chris. Discussion. Grace.
I was wondering if there were any updates from a few weeks ago. I know that you did preface that there was conferences and there wouldn't be too much of an update, but I was wondering if there were some of those immediate kinds of questions or any updates from the last time.
If the request is for updates in regards to TIF, we will have a presentation by staff coming up at a future meeting within October. But if there's any questions in regards directly to the bond regarding Hotel Royer, we do have Elizabeth here for that. But anything regarding Central TIF and TIF 4 as a whole, we'll have a presentation by our community development team.
Thank you. And I guess how it relates to this is, I guess the pointed question is, can we at least take some of this money from TIF? Like, could we reduce this amount we're bonding to, say, 5 million, 4 million, so that we're avoiding some of the interest? Like, is it all or nothing, or can we reduce what we're bonding by taking what's available in TIF at the time?
Chris, I'm sorry. Elizabeth, would you like to join this?
So I guess, and I may ask Darius to jump back in here again. If you do that, you're precluding other options that you may have to reinvest in the TIF. That's what I would say about that.
Grace.
And we have a motion and a second, so we can kind of questions, discussion, both, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I hear you on that, and I think that totally makes sense, very valid, that then we wouldn't have as much in TIF for other projects. But I guess I'm just wondering if there's some balance there, and also if we expect to have this additional revenue from Hotel Royer to replenish the TIF, to repay the bonds, however we're doing the money, we're counting on getting repaid by Hotel Royer incremental tax increase one way or another. So I guess I'm just trying to grab if there's any ways that we can have some kind of balance to avoid this big bond and interest over this time.
Definitely a valid question by all means. I think in this case we didn't prepare Central TIF or TIF 4 to fund the bond, knowing that it was, I believe, approved in the initial budget back in, what was that, May? That was prior to me. Was that?
Well, the plan to issue debt has been from the beginning of the development agreement. I think there was a plan to issue debt to cover the incentive. So, yeah, we didn't plan around that.
And again, I think, yeah, very unfortunate. I'm not sure where I missed that along the process, but that was not my understanding throughout this. So I think that's why I'm coming at this now, which I understand is maybe surprising for you all if that's what you were under the understanding. But that's not what I was hearing or getting into my mind throughout this. Yeah, thanks.
Any other discussion? Jaya?
Yeah, I do want to just kind of reinforce that I also was not under the impression that we'd be taking bonds out to pay for this. I understand that that may have been part of the initial agreement. I think, that happened before the last council. So I think it's, I appreciate, I was watching the recording of the last meeting since I missed it, and I do appreciate both Grace's questions and the answers that have been provided. And TIFs are weird and confusing, so I think, having additional information, making sure we understand where we are and what TIFs might be wrapping up. I do look forward to having all that information. But I do think it's also, it's always worth us having those conversations, in terms of our fiduciary responsibilities to think about the impact of the interest as well. So I'm not going to hold this up. I think that there have been reasonable answers, but I do want to reinforce that I think that Grace's questions were well warranted too.
Chris, would you take the chair for a moment?
I will take the chair and recognize Mary Alice.
Thank you. So as somebody who was on the original city council that went through this whole process, I will say it was very clear at that time. Whether that was communicated to future city council members, I don't know, but I can say as a member at the time, the intent was always to issue bond for the 5.2, which was the incentive. I will also say at that time, the interest rates were much lower, but that was our intent. So. All right, I'll take the chair back, Chris.
And release the chair back to Mary Alice.
Thank you. James?
Yeah, I intend to vote for this. I was not on the council 5 years ago or longer when this was initiated, but it has been clear to me throughout the process that a bond issuance was a part of the plan. It was very clear that this was a long-term investment in the building and getting it to generate revenue again, and that in order to do that, capital was required up front, and that the TIF district could not support it all at once. And so I'm comfortable with this. It's not a surprise from what I learned over the last 5 years, and so I will support it.
Grace?
I was wondering if there was any thoughts from our discussion last time on this about options for being able to pay back the bonds early. I think I recall you saying sometimes you can, some you can't. Is there a way to, I mean, I know we could put in words to say, kind of stipulate ones that were able to be paid off early, but if we could have that option, I think that'd be great.
So that'll depend on what the bidders offer, right? So some bidders may offer us a bond with a call feature, some may not, just depending on their preferences. So we will have to see. There is, we could do essentially a defeasance, which is kind of a complicated way of paying back bonds early, but based on our projections, and we've recently updated all of our projections around this project, I think we're about in the right place to have the revenue stream match the debt service payments. So I don't feel like it's likely that the revenues from this project would enable us to pay it back much earlier in any case.
Thank you.
All right, with no further questions, yes, Elizabeth, did you?
I did have one additional thing that I needed to bring up. Can I do that now? So I did want to let you know, I'm going to ask for someone to make a motion to make a small adjustment to the ordinance before you approve it. So the reason for this, which I just learned shortly before 4 o'clock this afternoon, is that we're going to make a change in our placement agent for the bonds, and the placement agent is specifically called out in the bond ordinance. So the team that we were working with for placement services was with RW Baird, and apparently today that entire team left and went to another firm, Raymond James, and Baird now does not have appropriate staff to support us on this bond issue. So I propose that we modify the ordinance to use Raymond James as our placement agent. This is just from a procurement perspective, this is a relatively small amount. It's just under $5,000, so we're not violating any purchasing policies or anything. But in order to do that, what we would need to do is in section 9, at the beginning of the second paragraph, it says the purchaser of the bond shall be pursuant to competitive sale conducted by. We would need to replace the words Robert W. Baird and Company, Naperville, Illinois, with the words Raymond James Financial, Inc., and then in parentheses, or its affiliate. So just a small wording change. But since I got this information this afternoon, we decided it kind of made sense just to get this done now rather than have to come back and do it later.
So is this a section in the section 9 in the therefore?
Section 9, the second paragraph, and I believe that's on page 70 in your packet.
Thank you. Let me check that out.
I think I have
Yes, it is on section. Section 9 is on page 70. James?
I'll make a motion to amend Section 9, the second paragraph, to update where it says Robert W. Baird to state that the placement agent will be Raymond James Incorporated or its affiliate.
Raymond James Financial Incorporated or its affiliate.
Financial Incorporated. Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by James, seconded by Jaya. Any discussion? Grace?
Is question first and then some thoughts on it. Could you remind us, in this agreement with Hotel Royer, we didn't have any specific conditions on their operations or revenue they generate back in return? Is that right?
So Matt may need to help me with this. There were a whole lot of conditions they had to meet in order to get the incentive payment, right? Including being approved for occupancy and open for business, including the restaurant and the banquet center. But we can't impose requirements on that for the project to generate a certain amount of revenue. So the repayment is based on estimates.
Makes sense, but I feel like we've learned some things in some of these agreements, and the most recent ones had certain conditions like open these number of hours, host these many events, things like that. Is there anything in the post-construction piece of Hotel Royer that has any conditions?
I'm probably not the best person to answer that question because I wasn't involved in negotiating the development agreement.
Can I jump in here for just a moment? There was a qualification that they had to be branded by Hilton. They had to be approved as a Hilton Tapestry, I believe for 10 years, but don't quote me on the length of time. They had to have open hour, they had to serve lunch, dinner, and breakfast. That's why we passed additional, we were counting on that sales tax. We also passed a boutique tax for that hotel specifically. So it was those kind of different conditions that I recall from what their obligations were in order to qualify for the 5.2. James?
I think these are perfectly reasonable questions, but they don't seem to be about the amendment, which is currently on the floor.
That is a good point.
It may be related, and if they are related to the amendment, that would help to explain that, but
All right, so Grace, do you have any questions about the amendment itself?
No.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll on the amendment?
Trustee Wu?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Colasetti?
Yes.
Trustee Wilkin?
Yes.
Trustee Quisenberry?
yes.
All right, that amendment passes. All right, back to the original motion. Okay, so Grace.
Thank you. Thanks for some of the background information. I think all makes sense. I agree with some of the direction we've been going in some of the recent TIFs with having some of those operating conditions that we can, and also using TIF stuff when we can. I think I've learned a lot through this experience, and hopefully we'll have more ahead to improve some of the development. I think downtown Urbana is an awesome happening spot, and I love seeing the things happening there. So, to clarify that these questions aren't to, block or question any of that progress, just where's the money going about it, and just really concerned about the interest on the bonds and trying to understand how the TIFs work and their whole purpose and how do we best use them. So definitely support us using that whenever possible. Thanks.
Chris.
Yeah, kind of piggyback last time I talked about this. I just want to flag again the priority of corporate welfare for the rich, and that's what, to me, this represents. Out of honor to the hard workers that saved that building for the last many years from, again, roof to basement, that building is saved. And to honor the agreement that the last council made before me, I'll honor this agreement. But I wanted to have conditions, and it's too late to put these in, and this is just idle talk, but the taxpayers are going to front 5.2 mil. So what do the taxpayers of Urbana get? And I was hoping that 80% of the employees, we could mandate 80% of the employees would be local residents of Urbana. that 20% of the employees would be African American, that 2 of the units in that building could be reserved for homeless families. So things like that as conditions of these kind of corporate welfare deals would be, I think, a little bit more palpable and easier to swallow if, in fact, the citizens of Urbana were getting some kind of return for their dollar directly. So, but again, I'm going to honor this agreement and glad the building is saved, and hopefully they can pay it back. So.
All right, I'm going to call the vote. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin.
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion passes. Reports of special committees. I believe there is none. Reports of officers. A couple people. Nothing? All right. There are 2 mayoral appointments this evening. I apologize, I don't have the information about them. Do you have them? That's what I'm looking for. Give me just a moment. All right, I have it. Okay, so there are 2 motions by the mayor. Both are for the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission. One is for Kevin Murphy for a term ending on June 30th, 2028. Kevin has lived in Urbana for 4 years, currently teaches 8th grade social studies at Urbana Middle School. He also works part-time for the Urbana Park District, where he serves on the teen programming staff, supervises at the Splash After School program, and contributes to the environmental education team. Kevin will serve as the Urbana School District representative on the commission. He says, I quote, I am an avid cyclist and bike commuter in all conditions, so have appreciated how bike-friendly Urbana is. Would like to work to improve and maintain our pedestrian and bike safety infrastructure in Urbana. As a teacher, I also care deeply about the ability of my students to arrive to school safely if they're walking or biking to school. The second appointment is for Sarah Rand, term ending on June 30th, 2028. Sarah has lived in Urbana for 10 years and currently serves on the Urbana Park District Advisory Committee, as well as the Amazon Choir Board. She holds a bachelor's degree in forensic investigations and is a board-certified death investigator and autopsy technician. Sarah also volunteers at Sola Gracia. She, quote, I struggle daily to navigate the extremely poor conditions of the sidewalks and the curb cuts in my neighborhood. My wife is an e-biker, and I want to help provide perspective to the UPW and the city so others with disabilities can be independent and not struggle the way I do. I have been serving Champaign County for 10 years, and despite my seriously debilitating disease, I want a better Urbana for all residents, including those who would like to independently navigate Urbana with mobility devices. I would entertain a motion for these 2 proposed appointments.
So moved for both Kevin Murphy and Sarah Rand, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission till June 30th, 2028.
Second.
All right, moved by Grace and seconded by Chris. Any discussion? Yes, Grace.
I was just wondering if any of these individuals were here tonight. Is that any of them out there? No? Okay, sometimes it's hard to recognize people. But just want to say thank you to them remotely for their service and volunteering for this commission, and especially it seems like BPAC will have some interesting things going on with new streets and sidewalks and bike infrastructure and upcoming projects. So thank them for their volunteering on this commission.
Any other discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Wu,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Colasetti.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkin.
Yes.
Councilmember Quisenberry.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes. The last item on our agenda is a discussion of the police surveillance technology, ordinance number 2024-12042. I am assuming that, Darius, you handed out the spreadsheet. You want to talk to us a little bit about it?
Yes. What was given to you was a updated form of the Urbana Police Department section. So there was some some errors on the last one when they were copied and paste. Some of the columns got moved. So the original list that you had, the departments listed prior to the Urbana Police Department are correct, and then now just adding that for you.
All right, thank you. Grace?
I had a question on that, and then I did have just a little updated notes to share, if that's okay with the chair and the council. And question two for Darius, I was trying to understand, what's the relationship between the list tonight and the list from the second? This is an addition to that?
So the list on the second, the UPD's portion of their tools and surveillance items was, the columns didn't align right. So what you're seeing in front of you is just the handout is just UPD with the correct items and definitions. So it was just a little bit of a mishap on the columns.
So this one from tonight is UPD only, and that's why things like Placer AI or firefighter drones aren't on this list.
So
Okay.
those were the UPD were the only ones we needed to correct, and I didn't get it in beforehand. So I just brought you all hard copies, and we'll make sure to update it.
Thank you very much. And I don't know about for others, but I think for me, it probably would be helpful if we eventually compile and update these lists so they're all in one place, which I think what you were just saying. Okay, thank you. And if it's all right with the chair and the council, if I could put up notes just quickly.
Yes, that's fine.
So I would like to share just a little updated notes, kind of like we went through a few weeks ago. And, realizing that we don't have the mayor tonight, and for some reason it feels like later and longer than it has. So I'm propose and totally in support of maybe not diving in too deep, but I just wanted to at least show you some of the updated notes that I have for you, and hopefully we can continue the discussion. So I've just kind of built on to the supplementary notes that we went through the last time we discussed this. Again, thank you to a dedicated community member for organizing it in these nice columns. So don't get too dizzy. I'll just quickly scroll through. This is what we talked about last time about the general ordinance. And then starting here on, I guess this is page 5 of this note document currently, is an additional table that has the definition section with Urbana on this left column and then Oak Park on the right. And again, happy for people to digest this and take a little more time, but just wanted to highlight it and keep the conversation going. They're in, I don't remember what particular order with one of them, but I think makes sense to kind of start is you can see like the use reports are very similar in nature. I think Oak Park, when you get into the details, has some things that I think would be helpful for us to consider in Urbana. So I think we could look into some more detail on those comparisons and see if there's anything from Oak Park that's more inclusive or other wording that we like that we might want to include in our version. And then same kind of things with the exigent circumstances, and chapter 6 in red here because we're still working on a better way to update and define that in our code and in line with state stuff and definitions. We define surveillance and surveillance data, and the Oak Park one does not. They define personal communication device. We do not. The use report are somewhat similar. They call it a surveillance impact report, and then it has what's included in some of those. And again, I do think that the Oak Park one has some valuable things that we might want to consider incorporating. Then same thing for use policy. They both have the use policy with some similar elements, and again, some more things to consider for Oak Parks. And then this is, I think, maybe the the detailed meats of it on the definition of surveillance technology itself. I think that overall we have a pretty similar definition of all these things that are capable of being associated with an individual or group of specific individuals. And those are pretty similar definitions there. And sorry, I was trying to read. I thought how they did it here was that kind of like for them, surveillance databases were included in their definition of surveillance technology, and that's why they didn't really distinguish it. I'm trying to see where, what wording in theirs made me specifically think that, because they have kind of like collect, retain this information, which we also have. And anyway, just thinking about that bigger picture with the surveillance database issue, that, you know, if surveillance database is a record retaining from surveillance technology, that's kind of inherently in that definition. But I think it makes sense to kind of piece those out, because I think in practical sense, seems like there's a difference. Like, for example, with license plate readers, we don't have that technology, physical cameras in Urbana, but if we have access to the database from them, that's still covered. So I think it makes sense to kind of include them both, but I thought it was interesting that Oak Parks didn't have surveillance databases, but if you really think about it, a surveillance technology that retains that information, a database is kind of surveillance technology included in there. And then they have some of the specific examples. I have not yet, but it would be kind of fun to, you know, the game where you like line up the matching ones or something. I sent this to you in a Word doc too, so please feel free for anyone of you all and staff, city attorney, anyone to mess around with this, and you should be able to edit it and make your own changes if you want to match up bullet points or anything like that. And then they both have what surveillance technology does not include or does not cover in the ordinance, which are pretty similar. We already kind of swiped their body-worn camera exemption because they were one of the examples in the state of Illinois. And then that's that. So again, happy to go with the direction of the will of the majority of the council, but I would suggest we maybe don't get too far into the details tonight, but I wanted to just show this to you for some more food for thought along the way.
All right, questions? Okay, well, given that we're kind of missing, a little limping along tonight, Chris?
I don't know, and again, we might not be able to answer this question, but does anybody or everybody have a sense of our timeline when this will come to a vote? And I'm not recommending or preferencing anything here. I'm just wondering where we're at in the story, so to speak.
James?
My sense, based on our progress recently, is that it might be able to come to a vote in October. But, because I think we've made a lot of good ground in the last couple of weeks, but I don't feel like we should hold ourselves to that, but that's my optimistic viewpoint by the end of October, maybe. Definitely by November.
So I'll say, since this is discussion, there's no action, I don't have to pass the chair, right? I would say from my perspective, I would like for all of city council members to be able to look at it at least twice. I'd like for city staff to be able to look at it and go over some things. So to me, that's more of like, if all stars align, a 6-week roughly, but that's kind of my preference. I would also say that I found it easier to flow the language that Oak Park used for what is surveillance technology. It just was easier for me to understand. So the actual initial definition up there was very clear cut to me, versus the other one was getting a little complicated to me. I think we had both James and I had mentioned about certain things that might not like actually be surveillance technologies, but I'm actually having second thoughts about gunshot detectors just based on some information I was reading somewhere else. So, yeah, I like the clarity of the Oak Park definition. It's easier for me to understand. I also like, I actually like some of the information in the use report that Oak Park did. They actually had a deeper dive into some of that, and I like that. But I would also suggest that maybe we bundle it into an annual police report, so you've got the whole report, rather than having all these separate reports. I don't know if that would be feasible, but that's just something I wanted to offer up. Grace?
Thank you so much. I think I would say two things about the timeline and about, what was yours, the use policy and use report. And then just to clarify for the use report, what I think our proposed thing with the use report is that would be something that comes up one time for each technology when it's approved. And then the annual surveillance report would encompass all of the different technologies. So there's, I don't think we're proposing a separate report for each one besides the first time we're approving it.
You're right.
And then as far as overall timeline, I agree with what's been said, and I think we've done a good job for keeping up with the plan. Is that in August, we agreed that, Jay and I would be gone as sponsors and appreciated the compromise of having discussions during the month of September and had the original goal of trying to get something finalized through October. And I think that, I'm glad to hear that seems like we might still get there and definitely understand some more time for review, format it into city code. There might be some logistical things, but I'm also hopeful and optimistic that we can, at least as council, have some kind of agreement on something to keep moving along and get past. So, thank you.
James?
Yeah, something I've been thinking about a lot is, because I'm one of the individuals who had trouble with just the term database, and I had been thinking about how to phrase what we're talking about here, which is surveillance technology and the data that it collects. And that feels like more of a description of what we're talking about here. And it really resonates with me tonight because you were talking about data that was collected by surveillance technology that we may not operate as the city. And that lines up better with the way I've been thinking about it. I know I have to admit and recognize that as a person who lives in the technology space, and a lot of time I spent splitting hairs over data and data policy and such, I may be struggling with this more than the average resident might be, but that's because in our work on campus, we collect a lot of data. We have to take care of it, and so how we describe what we're talking about becomes more important. So I appreciate people's patience, if you have it, for me exploring that as we talk about it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much, Grace. More to come. Since we have 3 agendas tonight, I'm trying to make sure I have the right one. All right. That's it. That's all the business before the city council this evening. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.